and that after all this body has to die one day. Whosoever takes birth has to leave. That is changing reality. Whatever is changes, whatever we see in the world outside, it is changing at every moment. And that is what is known as the world outside. And in the world outside, we have our, say, we have our life of pleasure. We seek pleasure from the objects. You can say that is our personal life. And then we have majority, the professional life. And hmm, so what we say dharma. And we have more or less a life of right intellect. Right intellect means that we follow the rules of the nation, rules of the law, and rules of the road. It all the three things are important, but all the three things are constantly changing. So our master says that there is an inner life also, the life of inner beauty, inner peace, inner calmness, inner happiness, inner love, inner wisdom. You see that outer life is ruled by ego. I'm not saying that ego is bad. When I address myself as a I'm living in the house, I have kids, and etc. So, this is also a part of the ego. So, whether I address myself, I have wealth, or I do not have, I am rich or poor, this is all about the ego is living the life, personal life, professional life, social life. But then there is a life inside, that is what we say, the life of a real self. This is the first thing that we should know. The entire Eastern wisdom talks about inner life, all the 3,000 masters. Yajnavalkya was a great master who lived almost 4,000 years ago. He had two wives, 4,000. He was the chief minister in a court of a king. So, after living a life for more than 40 years, when he was 60 or 65, he called one day both the wives and he said, I have divided the entire wealth equally to both of you. So there was Maitreyi. Maitreyi was his wife. So I have decided to go into the Himalayas to meditate for a longer period. Longer period? Yajnavalkya was a very wise minister and a monk and a master. He had taught the princess and the king. So in the late evening, one of his wife was Maitreyi. So Maitreyi thought, you see that we have to think. We stop thinking about who am I? Why I know my name, my profession, my personal life, my kids, my everything I know. So we take it for granted and we continue to suffer. So Maitreyi went to her husband Yajnavalkya and asked, first she said, I can't believe it. Why I can't believe that you are going to a forest? Why I can't believe it? Because You are one of the wisest people in the kingdom. And now you are wise and you are leaving the kingdom. You are leaving the entire wealth. It means because you are wise, there is something greater than what you have achieved in your life. So, can I accompany you? I have already given the entire wealth uh, to the second wife. Not many people think like this. The second wife, she was very happy. She said, okay, thank God this old man is going. Now I will live my life. But this Maitreyi, so there is a dialogue. That is what the Upanishad, the dialogue continues. This is what we have to think. So the Maitreyi asked, after all, what you are going for in the forest. So he said, come on, my honey, I am going to continue to live a life of meditative state for years to reveal further knowledge and the wisdom. But I have reached to a state where I can tell you why I am going. So he said, honey, listen to me. What to listen to me? Then he started. The husband love wife not for the sake of a wife, but for the sake of himself. The son loves his father not for the sake of father, but for himself. Wife loves the husband not for the sake of husband, but for the sake of wife, herself. Question comes, how come it is so? In the modern world, we say soulmate, one soul, two bodies. We normally talk about. It's a different matter. After a few years, that soulmate becomes soulmate. And then we divorce. Still, we say, I love you, but I'm divorcing. Come on, what a crazy mind you have. I love you, but I have some problem with you. That is why I. Now, here the master raises a question. He says, if you like a person, then only you love a person. If you dislike a person, do you love that person? The answer is no. You see, first there is a liking. That liking a person, I fall into love. I do not rise in love. So, from where the liking comes? Liking comes from the mind. So, liking means I'm seeking a pleasure. So, that pleasure may mean love. That pleasure may mean satisfaction. But one thing is very important. I like a person, then only I love. If I dislike a person, that love is gone. Second question comes, is liking for the sake of happiness? Answer is yes. So if it is so, then happiness is present in the husband, wife, son, people. So Yajnavalkya asked, and no, happiness, I feel the happiness inside. while loving you. So it means happiness is present in the mind, not in a person outside. The entire journey of the Eastern wisdom is very much logical. There is nothing about belief, dogma, cult, religion at all. So now see where we have reached. I like a person because I feel happiness within myself. I dislike a person because I feel unhappy being with that person. It means happiness and unhappiness I experience within the mind. So now the next question comes, is happiness belongs to the mind? So our master says this happiness do not belong to the mind. It comes from the real self. It comes from the pure consciousness. Our true nature is of the nature of permanent happiness, love, and wisdom. How do you say that? That brings us to another explanation. First thing, for example, first step, I like pasta. Example. So that liking means the mind sticks to the object that is pasta. So when it sticks like a gum in the mind with the pasta because of liking, my mind continuously think of it, think of it, think of it, think of it subconsciously. That constant thinking creates a desire for the pasta. Desire projects the happiness in the pasta. That has happened deeper inside. See that. It applies to soulmate. It applies to the relationship with the people. Any kind of relationship. Pay attention. I like pasta. Why I like pasta? Because it may give me happiness. My mind is constantly thinking. Thinking creates a desire to possess pasta, but that constant thinking creates an agitation in the mind. I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. That we are not aware. So we pick up the phone and now we want to possess pasta. So we order a pasta. It gives me little more happiness in the mind. But the mind is constantly agitated to enjoy pasta. So as the mind starts the hesitation because it is seeking something outside. We enter into anxiety, stress, duality, conflict, insecurity, fear only because the mind is seeking something outside. We have to think of it. If you do not think, no, 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 you don't understand. I love, no, I have to ask myself. I have to ask. So when you ask, your mind opens up. Where if your mind opens up, then it starts thinking. The very non thinking and the mind is moving habitually, taking for granted that pasta will give me happiness. So the hesitation. Now the pasta is on the table. I start eating it. So the hesitation in the mind calms down during eating, and the mind says pleasure is in the pasta, but What happened? Because the agitation has gone down, it is dropped, it is dissolved while eating the pasta. huh, the real self reflects in the absence of hesitation, and we experience happiness inside, which we claim it comes by eating pasta. It comes by having I love you, uh, that is why I am happy. Look at it. The way our mind is working. So that is why we say move the mind from outside to inside. Why? To drop that object and the connection of the object with the mind. Whether that object is a person, that object is a human being. It is very easy to understand based on the Eastern wisdom. In Eastern wisdom, in Sanskrit language, we say that object or a person outside as Vishaya. Vishaya. So, what is the definition of that object which creates in the mind a sense of likes and dislikes? Your mind will instantly tell, do you like pasta? Yes or no. Do you like pizza? Yes or no. I like pasta, pizza. Instant, the mind instantly starts creating a thought of like and the dislike. And then the thinking continues. And that thought, an object sticks like a gum. And once the liking starts or disliking starts, a lot of thought pattern creates a desire, and the desire projects happiness in that object or a person. Ask those people who have divorced. Did you love? Yes, I loved huh, the other person much more than I loved myself. Really? Then why you left? Why you divorced? That love was nothing but a based on the liking and disliking and attachment. So when we say the mind has to move inside, it means we want to break that bond created unconsciously, liking and disliking for an object. So once we create a bond at the first level, we break the bond at the first level, then the mind goes further within. As the mind moves, it starts dropping all the thoughts. When it starts dropping the thought, the agitation in the mind drops, and the real self reflects the calmness and peace. That is why we say mindfulness or meditation gives that state of the calmness and peace. How can you say it? In deep sleep, there is no body, there is no mind. And when you wake up from the deep sleep, you say, how refreshing, how happy I was. So, consciously, if we leave the body and the mind by the practice of meditation, we experience the same peace. It is a fact, proven fact, that in deep sleep we are neither the body, we are not the mind. We don't know. Mind doesn't know where we are sleeping. Once we fall into deep sleep, whether we are sitting here in US sleeping in US or in India, on which bed, in which county. No, we don't know anything. So that mind which has a clinging, sticking like a gum with a place, with a wrong notion that this will give me the happiness, they all are dropped. When everything is dropped, we experience happiness which is already there inside. Now apply this in life. No, no, you don't understand. I have an anxiety. How come you have an anxiety? The moment you have it, start thinking. Just telling your mind that peace is definitely inside. Let me explore how the anxiety comes. One thing is sure, whether it is anxiety, reaction, anger, depression, and other stuff in the mind that causes the insecurity, it comes because the mind with the thought sticks to an object. It may be that object, may be the anxiety. No, 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 I will have it. So, how do you know? By thought. Thought gives you the knowledge. So, can I change the thought? If you are aware, you can change the thought, and that will go away. So, there is one process by which you were a non-thinker and you start thinking, it goes away. The other way is to practice, 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 remove all the distractions completely. So when all the distractions are gone from the mind, including the thought of an anxiety, you are already in peace. So first way that we purify the intellect is not sitting in the anxiety, intellect is not sitting in the love for others, intellect is sitting with the real self. That we can achieve by thinking constantly, contemplating, and reflecting. Second process of mindfulness is that we have lot of distractions, means the thoughts. Once those thought enters into the mind and causes some reaction, causes blame and complaining, causes the anxiety. So, okay, let us practice meditation and make the mind totally empty. So, when we empty the mind, there is no distraction. We again experience, we move into the same state. Then there is another way that we say, here is an image of a god, Shiva or Krishna or Jesus, whatever it is. So I contemplate and reflect in the meditation that here is an image of the Shiva, which is of the nature of permanent peace and happiness. I keep the mind focused through feeling and emotion. That is another way. So, like this, we have hundreds of ways of moving into that state of meditation. So, let us see. I believe you heard me. So, let